see. I am not seeing the comments from you guys, so there's something I'm not... No, that's not it. Where are... Supposed to be the little... See, this is why... Oh, let's see. Is that it? Show comment. There we go. Now I've got the comments and reactions going. So, Victor BB says, Aloha, Mace Windu. Man, I mean, talk about one of the coolest Star Wars characters. And thanks for coming out, Mace. Nick Patterson Nova says, hi, Zach. Telecaster Remaster. I love that name. Hi, Zach. Bogeyman. Hello from the Netherlands. Well, hello. It's Wednesday morning here in Nashville, Tennessee, and got the old broadcaster here. I'm going to scoot over a touch so I'm not cutting it off. And see, got a little knee action going. All right, Plexico's already starting off the, putting some cash in the tip jar, which, that always helps, put some in the plate and pass it around. I appreciate that, Plexico. Thank you so much. Good morning, James. Todd says morning from Nashville. Dennis Wells says hello. Will Barton, my buddy. Thank you. Thank you for saying hey. Thomas Link. Let's see, Rob French says hi. Hello to Thomas Link. Mace Windu is still looking for his hand, so I can start playing the Telecaster again since Anakin chopped it off. I know, that's a tough situation. Thank you for sticking with it, though, and keep looking. We'll find it for you. Lee Whitaker says, hey, Zach. Clovis, California. I think I know Clovis, New Mexico. I didn't know Clovis, California. You'll have to tell me, David Schramm. Yeah. Tell me where Clovis, California is. Rob French again. Palmer Rapids, Ontario, Canada. Let's see. It's going well, Massimo. Let's see. Good morning from Edmonton, Alberta. I know what I forgot to do. Hold on. I'm going to be right back. I got to stop one thing. Okay, sorry about that, kids. I had to, I forgot that I had to turn off the AC unit in my studio here so that it keeps the noise level down. Also, I've learned from you guys that I got to turn the fan off too, because this microphone that I'm using to improve the show for you guys. And the little audio interface and everything that I've picked up, it's a lot more sensitive to noise and stuff. Oh, let's see, Ian Rossiter, Telecaster Bear, and he says 7:30 a.m. already walked the dog. I have too. Of course, it's 9:30 Central Time. Let's see, we got some saying hello to each other. Tom says from Cincinnati, so good morning. Matt says howdy from Westchester, Pennsylvania. Nice. Clovis is next to Fresno. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, 2 hours north of Bakersfield. And then we got Hi Zach George 1967 Telly. Nice. Nick Patterson says a lot of Canadians here. We have good taste. Nice. Well, I love Canada and hope to make it up there at some point. So, good afternoon from England. Nice. Thank you, Astra. Let's see. Gabe Choate says good morning from North Central Tejas. So, I guess north of San Antonio or something. just a little blues or picking an A for y'all. Let's see, we got some more comments. Ian misses Halifax. He's drinking Turkish ground hardwired from Tal Mountain Coffee. Nice. And charting. Well, that's good. That means you're playing a gig. So that's good work. Work. Everyone likes work. Money. Wow, Australia. Thank you, Moyle. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Joshua Thaxton says good morning from South Carolina. Hello from Winnipeg, Canada. Man, we've got a bunch of Canadians. Man, I'm appreciative. Thank you. Orcas Island. We've got Dave Klein. Blytheville Steve says good morning from Arkansas. Looking and sounding good. Thank you very much. Trying to be a little healthier as I've I made it to 52 this year. Trying to take a little better care of myself and walk more and do stuff. What action height do you like? David Tram says, I like it pretty darn low. I mean, I like the nut really low and the saddles as low as I can get them. Basically I want it to rattle and then I raise it a little bit so it doesn't rattle as bad. And then sometimes I'll raise the action while I'm out on the road. Like if I'm playing like 3 or 4 shows in a row, sometimes I'll find like by 2 shows in, it feels too low and I'll raise it up. And that's the great thing about a telly is that, it's real easy. There's just a, couple screws or Allen wrench, little adjustments. So yeah. Let's see. Neil says, is there any advantage to slanting the bridge pickup in the opposite direction? Yeah, maybe you'd get a little fatter sound. I've never tried it. I've had friends that have tried it, and I haven't seen anyone that's like really stuck with it. So, I mean, I think it's a fairly inexpensive modification. You just need to get a left-handed bridge, and you can, slant your pickup the opposite way. So maybe I ought to do an episode about it. Maybe I ought to pick up a left-handed bridge and do that. Let's see. Good morning. Man, more Canadians. Fantastic. Avery's Bragg Book. We got Bob Cullum from Raleigh, UK. Ian says his gig this weekend is with a group that tunes to E flat. Yeah, that's one of those things where you kind of have to decide whether you're going to tune down or not. And then that means kind of like resetting up your guitars at time or putting a half gauge heavier. Like if I'm using 9.5s, I'll put 10s or whatever. Or sometimes I have to put 11s. It really kind of messes things up. So I get it. Bill Crittenden says, hello from Oxshott, Surrey, England. What's your thoughts on the Quilter Fender voice amps? You know what? I just have never played through them. I need to. Telecaster Master is from Syracuse. Thank you. Good morning from Eureka, California, says Todd Hansen. Is that telly string through the body? Yes, it is. This is my broadcaster replica. Let's see if we can get close without hitting the screen. Yeah. Let's see. Hello from Western North Carolina. Good evening from Malaysia. Thank you, Steve. James Maxwell says, I've been watching old Albert Lee videos. Have you made a video on players who use tellies with humbuckers? I haven't yet. That's a good topic. Yeah, that'd be a good tellies with humbuckers. I mean, that'd be a great video. We've got greetings from Germany, from Melchor or Melchor. I hope I'm not brutalizing your name. Have you changed those strings on the Glazer telly? No, I haven't. I was going to play it today, but I left it at the studio because it was kind of like they said, we may need you to fix some stuff. Leave it here. And then I haven't gotten it yet. So we were recording on Thursday, and today's Wednesday. And so it's just sitting at a studio. So I need to go get it. Kent says, good morning. Naples, Florida. Do you still? Yes, I have those coated strings on the Glazer telly. They're still on there. They still feel good. I've actually played like 4 more gigs on it and another session. So yes. So a big thumbs up on the D'Addario XS coated strings. They're really, really great. So not that simple to only swap the bridge. You have to. Oh, you do have to route the body, Bogey. Yeah, so yeah, that I talked out of my rear earlier. So yeah, it's not just because there's not a universal route underneath here. So yeah, you'd have to route wood if you wanted to flip the pickup over. So listen to Bogeyman. Just tuning in, is that yes, this is a Brad Paisley creation. This is he made this broadcaster replica for me earlier this year when he bought a real broadcaster, and I really loved the blend wiring that was on it, which is original to the guitar. And I said I was going to rewire a guitar like that, and he said, "No, I'm just going to make you a broadcaster." So here I am with it. Let's see, Southern Oklahoma, glad to be here. Well, thank you, Rocky. Let's see, have done a video on a Phase 90 yet? I need to. That'd be a good video. See, James Flowers is chiming in from Columbia. Bo is from Tupelo, Mississippi, half a mile from the Elvis birthplace. Nice. I've been to Tupelo, but I haven't been to Elvis's birthplace. I would love to. I've been to Graceland, before with old J.D. Simo. What action did Brad Paisley like when you teched for him? He liked it low, but not as low as me. So he plays a little harder than I do. He pulls more signal out of the guitar, and he likes his action, I would say, like medium low. So I would still call it low action though, and straight. Neither one of us like relief on the neck. We like the neck to be pretty much dead straight. If it has any relief, it's just slight. So to me, the straighter the neck, the better. So Albert Lee's phrasing is criminally overlooked. Yes, it is. And what's funny is when you see someone in a band that's having to, especially like Carlene Carter had a big hit with I Fell in Love that had Albert Lee playing tons of guitar all over it. And so it was really interesting to find footage of her playing that song in the 90s without Albert, with her road band. And it was still really cool, but it was just his phrasing is so idiosyncratic. It's so his own thing. I have heard that maybe it's better to use a reverse headstock. So I don't know. I like the look of the Telly with the regular headstock, not like a left-handed neck. It would be interesting to have where the low E string has more length to it, and it wouldn't have as of course, yeah. But I've never been curious about putting left-handed neck on a Telly. I like too much of the standard look of an old Telly. Let's see. Lee Grant. Hello. Lee Grant is one of my Patreon members and a great guy, and I've enjoyed getting to know him through that. And so hello to you, Lee, and hope you are well. Tyler says, have you ever played any Van Zandt pickups? Yes, I played some in the 90s and such, but I haven't seen any in quite a while. But I liked them. So hello from High Springs, Florida. Silver paired a ducks. My job got me a guitar to play at work. Nice. Well, I wonder who do you work? I mean, is it one of those jobs where you have? Are you working a security job or some type of thing where you're overseeing a computer and you hit the button, like every 35 minutes and by playing guitar? Yeah, I'm very curious as far as what you do. Bill Crittenden says, loving the live stream. Is the Celestion Vintage 30 and your deluxe reverb? The Celestion Vintage 30 that I have is probably 15, 20 years old. It was made in the UK. It's not in my deluxe reverb right now. I still have it. I would never get rid of it. It's one of my favorite speakers. Right now I still have an ET65 in my deluxe reverb, and it's an original one. Today, of course, I'm using my Headstrong Little King 12 watt with a 12-inch speaker. And I use that all the time on my show just because it sounds good, and it sounds good at low volume, and it's easier to get kind of a mix and not have audio problems. So, frankly, I tour with this one, and I have a second one that's like 18 watts. That's like the X model, and that's what I toured with weekend before last. Let's see. Jason Guitar, do you have any recommendations with regards to gigs that are noisy with single coils? Okay. And that, here's what I do. I mean, if it's really bad, then, you're going to end up having to, especially if you're playing that venue a lot, then you're going to end up, having to get a set of hum canceling pickups in like a backup telly, or you're going to need to get a volume pedal. And so that way you can really quickly, because no one really notices the noise is bad unless it's just awful when you're playing. But when you're, but it's when you're not playing, so that way you can just, push down the volume pedal right as you're playing the first notes, and no one's going to really notice it that bad, when there's drums and bass and steel or keyboards or whatever else going on. All right. And Jason had another guitar. I just got a custom shop telly with a twisted telly and no caster bridge. I love your channel and stories about it. Well, thank you. Yeah. And I think you can probably get by with that guitar if you'll use a volume pedal and just keep it to 0 until right when you're going to play. And unless you're playing a really noisy venue over and over again, like it's in the town or a regular gig, then maybe you need to pick up, some kind of hum canceling pickup, or maybe just one. Maybe you put one, in the bridge or something like that, or again on a backup telly or Strat or what have you. Just curious, how many guitars do you have? I probably have close to 30 at this point, and 10 or 11 of them are Telecasters. And so I just got another Telecaster recently. I finally got a rosewood board telly, which that's what next week's episode, so I'm not going to spoil it, but next week's episode is about rosewood board Telecasters. And so, yes, I have a bunch of guitars. Probably too many. Let's see. Donald Mill says, any thoughts on the Tim Shaw V-Mod pickups? I don't know that I've played through them, but I love Tim Shaw. He's a fantastic guy and a great winder, and I love anytime I get to see Tim Shaw, which I probably see him a handful of times a year, going down to Fender's offices here in Nashville, and I always learn something from him, and I always enjoy hanging out with him and the rest of the staff. They have a kind of a R&D department here in Nashville that are just amazing. So, Zach, would you mind sharing what strings you're using currently? I'm basically using all D'Addario strings. I use either the NYXL 9.5 through 44 or 10 through 46, or I've been using just lately. I started using the XS strings, which are basically NYXL strings that are also coated. So it's just a mix depending on the guitar and what have you. Like this one I haven't restrung in a little while, but this has 10 through 46 NYXL strings on it. And I've, probably played about, I think I've played four shows on it, 3 or 4 hour shows on it. And so they're getting to the point of like, they're still okay, but they're getting a little darker and a little less snappy on the low end, unless you pick. So there you have it. So basically D'Addario 10s or 9.5s NYXL or the XS coated NYXL. Let's see. Jason Guitar says, do you have favorite nut widths? 1 5/8, 1.6. Yeah, I like 1 5/8 and I like 1.65. I don't like 1 11/16 as much. This one is just a touch over 1 5/8. And, of course, this old Esquire, the 57, this is 1 5/8 on the dot, most of mine are 1 5/8 or just the 1.625, so it's just a touch wider, but I don't tend to really like the 1 11/16. It's just a little too wide for me. It just gets to where the spacing is just feels weird here, and I'm really used to being able to hit like those kind of chords with just or even this kind of E, where I use one finger to cover 2 strings. Let's see, Telecast Bear says, looking forward to the next week's episode. My only telly is a Rosewood Board 77. Nice. Do you think the brown box and brownies are a necessity? I don't know they're a necessity. What I find is that I just like the consistency of it. Tube amps sound different depending on what voltage they're at. And and I like being able to keep things at like 117, because if things, of course you can't boost the voltage, but, I find that at 125, I don't like the sound of the amp. And so to me, it's nice to be able to back it down. Also, it's nice just kind of knowing where the voltage is at, off the bat. You can kind of turn off the attenuation and you can see what the wall voltage is. And sometimes, some places, again, you go, it's 125, sometimes the wall voltage is 115 and you don't attenuate things at all. So, and then it can change through the night. All of a sudden, it can start off at 120 and it gets down to like 117 because all of a sudden they start turning on more lights and things like that. Blytheville Steve says, Zach, what guitar cable do you recommend, and do you look at impedance for tone? For a long time, I used George L cables, and I still use those sometimes. But since kind of working with D'Addario, I've been using their Planet Waves cables, and I really like them. This is their American cable. I can't remember what these are called. But they're really nice. They have good ends. I'm going to mute this so I can, kind of show what the, this is it. And of course it's got the little D'Addario thing. It's just, I've had really good luck with these cables. And so I have them like in 10 foot, 15 foot, and 20 foot. And so depending on whether I'm playing in studio or a live gig, or whether I'm running guitar to amp or amp to pedal board or whatever, I use different ones, and I get them where they're straight on one end and right angle on the other, and I just really like that because because that way at times I'll use the right angle here on the guitar and run it through, or just whatever depending on the gig, so I can change it around. Ian Roster says, have a great day, everyone. Hope you do too, Ian. Mace Windu says, does bridge material and saddles affect tone? Absolutely it does. So the metal and the thickness of it, how much metal there is in the material, all change the tone dramatically. So that's if I took this bridge off and put a heavy 6-saddle bridge, it would very much change the tone. It would add low end. The little chinchy is not the right word. The little thin metal bridges that are on vintage Telecasters are really kind of, I use the word doinky sounding, and they don't have a lot of low end to them. And if you want to get more low end, you put a heavier bridge on there. So, favorite pick thickness. I will use medium heavy picks that I got from D'Andrea, or lately I've been on this blue chip pick. This is the TPR 35, and I got it with my logo on it, so it'll be a little easier to hold on to, or if someone finds it, I really like these, and I learned about this specific. This is a pretty thin. It's like the thickness of a heavy pick. It's not like, because a lot of blue chip picks are really thick. They're like extra heavy or heavier than that. So I don't really like gigantic picks. Jack says, any chance you could let us know the secret as to how Brad gets his lead tone? He plays hard. Somehow he's able to play hard with somewhat low action. And it's basically a telly into an AC30 cranked up. with a Boss DD2. That's his lead tone, unless you're talking about a ballad, which maybe you add a tube screamer or something. But that's the only secret there is. Yeah, Jack, you probably don't have your telly turned up loud enough. Because, I mean, he has his AC30 set to stun. John says, hi there, recently got an Eastman D'Ambrosio with a Charlie Christian pickup. Neck buzzer versus too much. Any thought? I don't understand your question, John. I don't know if you're talking about noise or what. Help me out there, John, so I can help you. Dave Klein, thank you. I appreciate the super chat. That means a lot to me. We're all here on a Wednesday morning. I appreciate you throwing some money in the tip jar. That means a lot to me. GV Russell says, my experience is when the band really starts digging in and getting louder, pulling more voltage, current tube amp starts sounding squished. Yeah. Randy says, hi, Zach, great show. Jason Guitar says, favorite 3 or 4 pedals if you're making a tiny board, assuming the tuner is already on there. Yeah. I would say I like the Mirage compressor. I like the Boss tremolo. Then I like the Mostortion. And then I would get either a Boss DM3 or DD2, or I'd get an El Capistan if I really needed, a bunch of tap tempo and maybe a preset or something. So that's a good essentials. So in fact, that's basically what I'm using today, except I have a tuner, the Mirage compressor, a Boss. It's an Analog Man modded TR2. I have a Sawdust, which is a Mostortion. Then I have a Boss DM3 for slapback, which is basically the only thing I have on right now besides the Mirage compressor. And then I have an old Line 6 Echo Park that's for tap tempo. I'm going to grab a swig of water while I can. Johnny O says, great show, Zach. Thank you, Johnny. Joshua Thaxon, thank you for the super chat. Any tricks to stop B string breakage on a bender? Well, it depends on where it's breaking. So, and it depends the type of mechanism. If you have a Glazer bender, I would think, the breakage wouldn't be here, it'd be over here. So, I mean, you would need to, so to answer that question better, tell me where the string is breaking and what type of bender mechanism you have, because I'm happy to help there, Joshua. Lamar Brewster says, hi, Zach, do you keep guitar in E flat? Nope, I don't. Now, if I was out on the road and needed to do that, I would. I mean, I have enough tellies where it'd be easy for me to keep one tuned to E flat. Super chat, thank you. Thank you very much, Blytheville Steve. I very much appreciate that. Yeah, that means a lot to me. Thank you. Mac Luz says, Lutz from Berlin has a 69 Rosewood board telly. That's very, very cool. Al Costella says, do you have an opinion on the Jason Isbell telly pickups? I think they're fantastic. That is one of my favorite guitars, new guitars. I mean, to me, if I had to go to a store tomorrow and, like basically I showed up in Toronto and they said, you got to play a gig tonight. Well, I'd go to a music store and I'd try to find either a Brad Paisley, Road Worn, or a Jason Isbell. And then I'd get a deluxe reverb and a handful of pedals and go at it. So, So I really like the Isbell model a lot. The pickups on it are fantastic. So, let's see. I don't know where you can purchase isolated Brad Paisley tracks. There's software where you can isolate stuff, and I think that would probably be the best thing to do. I don't know where you can buy isolated Brad Paisley tracks. Noise. Oh, yeah, that's one of the things about a Charlie Christian pickup. I mean, it can be really noisy, and you can try shielding it, or there's little there's like a noise decimator pedal, you know, basically noise gates and stuff like that. That's kind of the only thing you can do with that guitar, because Charlie Christian pickups are not known for being quiet. They have noise issues. It's a gigantic single coil pickup. Okay, and here we got Joshua chiming in. Glazer bender breaking in the saddle where it bends around. Huh. That's interesting. I would look at one. I would think about how long the strings have been on there. You know, because of course, if you're using the bender a lot, it's really, you know, it's really wearing the string out fast. And then also seeing if there's any kind of burr or anything on there, which you know, is always possible. Yeah, and then maybe try, you know, like I've always had good luck with the NYXL strings because they last a long time, and I love having those on like a B-bender guitar because they last longer. Maybe try that, do a visual inspection of the saddle and make sure there's not some kind of little burr. I mean, just, you know, when the string's off, kind of feel around and make sure there's not any kind of rough spot. And if there is, call Aaron at Glazer's shop and see what he recommends. If you can just take like some steel wool or something on there and kind of smooth it out. But Aaron Parker is the person to talk to about string breakage over at Glazer Instruments. So call Glazer Instruments and ask to talk with Aaron Parker and tell him Zach sent you. And that way you'll get extra special care. Hopefully. Oh, let's see. Lamar Brewster says, what time do you prefer on your slapback? Well, I don't know. Can you hear that? It's da, da. Let me turn the reverb off. So here's just, I'm going to turn up the volume of it. And I'm going to turn it down to 1 repeat. So that's the slapback that I want. All right. So there you got my secret slapback setting. Talk about the new Glazer saddles, brass or steel. I like both of them. I mean, I've got guitars that have the brass ones, and I've got I just put on my Rosewood board telly. I put the steel ones on there. So I love them both. They're really great. Let's see. Have you had much experience with Fender Japan tellies? Yes, I had an early 80s JV guitar, and I loved it. And I've always loved the main Japan guitars. The only thing I haven't liked at times is when they use the little vintage frets. I like bigger frets on guitars. I like 6105s and such. But, yeah. I love main Japan guitars. Hello from London, from Victory House. HG Trad says, I have a 67 telly. Why does volume go down when I switch from middle bridge to the neck pickup? Well, that's because your neck pickup is set lower and you need to set it higher. So, when you have the bridge pickup and then you go to the middle, well, I mean, if it'll still be somewhat loud, if the bridge pickup's up high, but then when you go down the neck, then you're really going to get a major drop if it's quite a bit lower. So I would try to set the neck pickup higher, and also make sure the pickup meters, put a meter on it, off the cable, and make sure that you get some kind of ohm reading on the neck pickup and it's not, in the middle of dying or something. I love 67 tellies. I've got one myself right over there. Steve Kellett says, any love for Jazzmaster pickups in the neck position? I haven't tried that yet. I've always wanted to because I like Jazzmasters and I like Jazzmaster pickups. It's just that I don't like one enough to own it because I would never gig with one just because I play so much traditional country and such, and I'm just such a telly guy. But putting one in the neck position would be really interesting. I just turned the reverb back on. Fine burrs, rubber. Yes. Oh, that's a great. That's a great way to find a burr is to use a Q-tip. Joshua, thank you so much again for more money in the tip jar. Very much appreciate it. Yeah, and Jerry has a great idea with using a Q-tip around there. Because that's easily going to catch on that even more than it would on your skin. Let's see. Randall says, on my Parsons white bender, I will put a tiny. Oh yeah. It's very, you have to do that on a Parsons white because it's literally dragging across the saddle. The Glazer's a little different that you don't have to lubricate it. Oh, let's see. James Lanier. Hello, James. Conrad Music says, hello from Belgium. Love the show, Zach. One of my tellies is a Japanese 62 telly custom. It has Lawler pickups, but still sounds dull. Any advice? Well, do you have steel saddles on it and 250K pots and a kind of normal type of cap and such? But that's kind of a strange thing. And is it a staggered pole or a flat pole pickup? So if you have steel saddles and a staggered pole bridge pickup, it should not be dull. If it's dull, there's something going on. Dave Schramm says, on his McVeigh benders, I make sure the string aligns with the bead, less breakage. Okay, yeah. Whatever happened to Bill Hullett? Is he still around? I think he's still around, but I haven't talked to him in a long time. I think I talked to him on the phone a couple of years ago. I don't know what he's up to, so I should give him a call. We should have a little hang and maybe record some of it or something. So that'd be fun. Do you think that no load pots on tone is good option for telly for neck pickup special? Well, I like the tone control not to be on the neck pickup at all. So, my favorite thing is to either have it not wired on there, or I like the broadcaster wiring, because what you get with that is you have the neck pickup through a cap and a resistor for kind of a rhythm sound. Then this position is the neck pickup with no tone control, which is fantastic. And then you get the bridge pickup, and then you can blend in as much as the neck pickup that you want. So here's the bridge pickup, just you can just put in just a little touch of neck pickup and it just gets kind of a fat, fun sound. Just kind of takes some of the attack off. But yeah, I like to not have a tone control on the neck pickup, and I'm fine with no load pots. So, but I prefer to just change the wiring rather than maybe use a no load pot. Let's see. Victory. Okay, we're getting some more. Victory House recommends sewing machine oil instead of 3-in-1. It's smoother, not critical for us, but a better all-arounder. Nice. Andy Bedford says, is there room in Nashville area for one more guitar repair technician? What about? Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. Yeah, there's always need for more, repair guys. There's, places like Carter Vintage and Gruen and Glazer Instruments are always hiring people because, people are always moving around. And then also, a lot of times those shops, have a little longer wait time. And so, yeah, the individuals that live in different areas of town, that's really appealing because it's easier to get to you. And, then you kind of get a local clientele and yeah, I think that's a great idea, Andy. Okay. Conrad says it's a 52 set. Well, that's going to be darker, but I don't think it shouldn't sound dull. So, I don't know, maybe check your pickup height. Do you have your pickup set really low? I set my pickups like really high. I almost go to the top of the edge here. And then if you can see how tall this neck pickup is. I mean, it's like I basically have it where it'll just barely clear when I press the string down, at the last fret. So I like try setting your pickups up higher and see if that helps. Will Schaff says, ever heard that the first 54 Strats? Yes, they had 100K pots. I have pictures of the 100K pots. They're on a Eldon Shamblin's gold Strat. I was able to look under the hood on it and took some pictures. And yes, it is absolutely 100K pots, which is a very different sound. Yeah, it's pretty dark. Let's see. Hod B or Hod 8 says, made it for the live show. Morning from Michigan. Morning to you. Andre Dardot. Do you know who played the guitar on Candy Statton's Fame stuff? The bass sounds like Hood, but some of the guitar sounds like Reggie Young. I mean, it's possible that it's Reggie. I mean, he would go down to Fame some. However, there were a bunch of good players down there, and they had different guys that they would bring in. Because you kind of had Jimmy Johnson that was kind of like the rhythm guitar guy, and they had a couple different guys that were really good players that played on stuff, and they kind of rotated around. But there were a number of good, kind of what you would call lead players that came through and that could play a little more in the style of Reggie Young. And one of them was actually a really good singer and songwriter, and I can't remember his name. He wrote Breakfast in Bed. Golly, what's his name? But anyway, he very much so could play in a similar style to Reggie. So Jerry says, I have a 72 Telly bridge starting to seem more microphonic and feedback. Yeah, I mean, any pickup winder could potentially wax pot it. So, yeah, so contact whatever, pickup winder that you know or that you like and see if they'll wax pot it for you. Let's see, what for you audio difference between 50s and 60s Telecaster pickups? Well, the big thing is the difference between flat pole and staggered pole, and it's just the flat pole is a little more compressed and dark. Compressed is the wrong word. It's like there's just more crosstalk between the strings because they have the flat poles. It just feels like the strings all kind of sense more of each other and stuff. So it's in the staggered pole pickups, which you get the full stagger by the end of the 50s. Yeah, it's just it's more jangly. It's a little more in your face. It's more assertive. So, yeah, to me that's the difference. Of course, there's various degrees of change. Through the years, it's not like, oh, here's the 50s sound and here's the 60s sound. There's kind of like here's the early 50s sound, here's the mid to late 50s sound, which kind of goes on into the 60s really. So, Carter Vintage always needs techs. I buy a guitar there every year. Nice. What is the best burger spot in Nashville? Joyland is really good. And then there's another place called Gabby's. And Gabby's, I think, is only open at lunchtime. And it's really, really great. So I would go to Gabby's if you're there around lunchtime. If it's dinner, I'd go to Joyland. And Joyland's in East Nashville. So both those are fantastic. Hi, Zach. Do you like the Music Man Albert Lee 3-single coil? I like it when he plays it. I can't play one because I look like an idiot because, I'm 6'2" and, over 200 pounds. And so if I play a little guitar like that, it's like me playing a mandolin. They go, oh, it's like a little baby guitar. So I like them, but I love them as instruments. They play really well. They sound great. I love Music Man guitars in general. I just feel like they just look really small on me. So that's unfortunate. Pickup height. Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, I kind of err on the side of the pickups as high as possible within reason. Do you know if Pete Anderson's 3 pickup telly with Floyd Rose trim used on 1,000 Miles from Nowhere is a custom? No, it was put together. I think it was put together by a guy in L.A. And it's just something that, he had a bunch of different things. He had some early baritones and things like that, and a telly with a Floyd and other stuff that it was all, he was just experimenting. And at that time, there weren't people making that stuff. And, it was before even Jerry Jones was making baritone and, 6-string bass guitars. And so Pete had a lot of things that were made in Los Angeles by a couple different guys there that had repair shops. So, and those were cool guitars. So, let's see. Coach Mike Rodick says, "Hey Zach, I just bought the cheapest Amazon telly I could find. I like it so far. What are your thoughts on the cheap guitars?" I have no problem with it. If it's a good guitar, it's a good guitar. I mean, who cares? So, no problem. What's the weight limit for a Telecaster for you? To me, I don't like over 8 pounds. To me, it's 8 pounds. So I'll go right up to 8 pounds, but I really don't like to get past that. If I want to play it sitting down, it's okay. But if I'm going to play it live, it's just, especially I play a lot of, I will do shows with friends of mine and stuff where I'm sitting in or whatever, which is more like a 90-minute show. But a lot of the shows that I play are casinos or private gigs where we play for 3 or 4 hours. And to stand up and sing and play and such, it's just like, I like a 6.5 to 7.5 pound guitar. And when you start getting above 8 pounds, I start feeling it. I start feeling it in my back and my shoulder. So that's kind of my limit. Samuel Gutierrez says, "Any tips on getting more twang on a modern bridge Telecaster?" Yeah, tons of great guys. Ricky Skaggs and Brent Mason and tons of cats. And even Pete Anderson have used, modern 6-saddle, heavy bridges. I think it has to do with, where you pick, because if I do that versus, there's so much difference depending on where you play. And if you're not afraid to go up, and play over the pickup, you can get some really, really, twangy sounds. Otherwise you're talking about changing the pickup to like a twangier one, which means basically going from a flat pole to maybe, a staggered pole pickup. But I would try just pick closer to the bridge. Yeah, there's such a difference depending on, where you play, Plus you can pick harder, closer to the saddles without bottoming things out. Do you use compensated saddles? Yes, I do. All my guitars either have compensated saddles or the screws have been bent to make them compensated. So these are Rutter's saddles that they're like marine brass or something like that. And so he sent me a set to try out. And so they ended up on this broadcaster and they worked out great. So I had no reason to change those. But otherwise, I tend to have either the advanced plating ones like Danocaster uses, or I've got Music City Bridge, the Groove Master ones. So that's what I use. Edu G says, Zach, for you, what is the difference in sound between telly and thin line telly? Well, it's hard to say, but to me, the thin line telly just has at times has a little less attack and a little more warmth to it sometimes. I mean, but it depends on the guitar. So it's hard to make generalizations, but I do like thin lines. I don't own one. Wait, got a 50s no-cast reissue. It's Les Paul heavy. A no-go for me, considering replacing the body with a pine one. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad choice. I like pine. Mace Windu says, I have a telly with the modern 6-saddle bridge, which I mentioned earlier, and I have no issue getting twang out of it. It just isn't as bright as others. Yeah, it's just the 6-saddle bridge has more low end to it. It has more mids. So, but yeah, you can get plenty of, you can turn up the treble and pick closer to the bridge and you pick harder. And yeah, there's lots of things you can do. John Price says, hey, Zach, looking to start learning some Chet Atkins. Any songs you can recommend to get started? Yeah, start off with Merle Travis's, which I mean, Chet played it too, but Cannonball Rag, which is the one that starts. Something like that, and then that kind of thing. Though, I mean, also, I think probably Tommy Emmanuel, he's talked about this, and he talked about starting with Freight Train, which is a great one to start with. So, yeah, start with those. Dave Schramm says, I've noticed the DD2 long chip is warmer and less bright. Yes, that is totally my experience. And so I don't own any DD3s anymore. So I have a couple of DD2s, and Brad has about 15 of them. So, and some of them I've had repaired for him and stuff down at True Tone's offices. Nick Patterson Nova says, I'm mainly a bass player, but I do play guitar. I had 4 tellies at one point, and they're now all gone to fun vintage bass purchases, but I really miss them a lot. Well, but vintage basses are pretty darn cool also. But maybe you find you're a road worn or something. I love the road warns, and every once in a while a good road warn will come up for like $1,000 or less, and they're great, especially the early ones from like 2009, 2010. Those things are fantastic. Let's see. Edu G says, what's your opinion about titanium tellies? I don't know. I've had really good luck with steel or brass, and that's kind of the vintage thing, and I've gone to compensated, but I haven't really gone to using different materials. I like either brass or steel. They tend to work well for me, so I haven't really messed with other stuff. Let's see. Hello, let's see. Heaven Wreck. Glad you came out and chimed in. I am going to be back in Europe in June of next year. So so be on the lookout. I'll be with the same cast of characters next year in June. So we need to do lunch again. So we'll just go ahead and say we're going to do that. Oh, let's see. Is 91 Telly Plus with lace sensor pickups? I think lace sensors are fine. And, of course, they made a bunch of different models. They made the gold, which sounded more single coilish, and blue and red and stuff like that. I thought they sounded fine. They weren't active pickups. I thought they sounded great. Joe Barden, Danny Gatton, Tele pickups. Yeah, it's a real Tele sound. The Gatton bridge is pretty darn bright, but, if you tone it down some, it's fantastic. So, let's see. Have you thought about doing a show on guitarists who started in country, migrated to both jazz and country, or continued doing both? Thinking about Hank Garland, George Barnes, and Herb Ellis. Yeah, a lot of guys, did that one way or the other. Like they either started out in country and went to jazz like Hank Garland, or a lot of guys started in country and then got more sophisticated, like some of the guys you mentioned, or Larry Carlton. Larry Carlton was a country guitar player. Then he became like an instrumental, surf guitar player. And then he got into jazz, in the mid 60s and took lessons from Joe Pass and things like that. So that's an interesting topic. Let's see. Go down the compressor rabbit hole for chicken picking. I've had everything. Even I like the Mirage compressor. I've been using it for at least 6 or 7 years, if not longer, and I just love it. I leave it on all the time, and it just and I just have it where it comes on when I hit a little harder. And I just want it to smooth things out. And I've never had a problem with them. And it's got 2 knobs on it. It's, $200 or less. Yeah. May says you talk about road warns a lot. Yeah, I haven't played everything. But, they still make the road warns. And I just like them. And I've never found one I didn't like. So, yes, and we will catch up in London, Heaven Wreck. So it'll be good to have some lunch. So that'll be good. Curious to hear your thoughts on newer Fender stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, Mace, I don't really know a lot of the newer stuff well, except for the road warns, which of course some of them they made for a while. And part of it is I just don't run into that stuff as much, and so the road warns I see guys that I know, playing them, even like Stewie French has a Jason Isbell that is a amazing guitar. And, of course, Brad uses the road worn, his signature model. And, I've seen tons of them that have come through that are straight out of the box that are all fantastic. So that's really my current Fender knowledge is really the road warns. And I probably need to go down to Fender and check out some other stuff, but I can heartily recommend the road warns. Steve Kellett said, if you're looking for older Boss DD, oh yeah, that multi-effect box had all those effects in it, and those are really cheap, and they're really good. Yeah, the BE5 or BE5M, yeah. Samuel Gutierrez says, for learning how to play country, do you recommend learning from sites like TrueFire or ArtistWorks or getting a teacher? Samuel, I think the best thing to do is learn for yourself and to learn songs. I think the best thing that you can do is start learning songs, like learn Folsom Prison Blues or Ring of Fire or Working Man Blues. And, take some lessons, but learn songs. And learn how to sing. Sing. I mean, the smartest thing you can do is sing and play, because you will work so much more. And it's and people put so much pressure on themselves. It's you don't have to be able to sing great. You need to be able to sing some harmony vocals, and you need to be able to sing a song or two to give another person a break. But learn songs, I hear that train a-comin', rolling round the bend. Learn that, and and go from there. Learn how to play that, just that alternating bass thing, and then learn the solo. Kind of messed it up some because I was playing it in G instead of E. That'll give you something to chew on. Steve Kellett's talking about another inexpensive. Yeah, those 80s multi-effect pedals from Ibanez and Boss are pretty inexpensive, and they're really nice. Fender Custom Shop Telly or Luthier Telly near real vintage. Man, I don't care. I mean, to me, it's like you play as many guitars as you can find, and then you buy the great one. I've, of course, gotten spoiled recently in that I have a couple vintage ones, and then I have some really nice replicas made by a friend who does a great job. Heaven Wreck, thank you for the super chat. Thank you very much. He says he made it onto Joe Glazer's Bender installation list for Europe. Nice. I would do a short throw Bender. I like that the best because I don't like the medium or long. I'm just used to the short, and it just especially if you're going to sit down and play, long throw is more for someone that wants to do really long drawn out bends and is standing up playing. So I would go with the short throw Bender. So Tim Burke says, several years ago I had MJ make Strat pickups to fit in a Telly. They sound great. I use brass saddles. The bridge pickup has a steel plate on the bottom. It also has the Strat chime. That sounds really cool. I've had a couple pickups wound by MJ, and they've been fantastic. So let's see. Dave Campbell says, wow, that Lost Paisley sounded so sweet on, I believe, a Fender Champ that Brad played on an interview. Yeah, that was just one of those Vibra-Champ reverb amps that they had lying around. And so, yeah, if you watch this stuff, like the Premier Guitar thing with John Bollinger, where Bollinger is in, and Bollinger is a great player and a great guy. He's interviewing Brad, and yes, so I was there for the event. I actually hosted that event. I kind of emceed it for Fender, and and that was but yeah, beforehand they did filming with Brad, where Brad did a bunch of interviews with different guitar magazines and such. So, well, we are getting to been going for over an hour. So I'm probably gonna, wrap it up some so that I can get on. I've got a meeting at 11. Gotta make. So I'm probably gonna wrap it up. But I want to say thank you to everyone that came out on the live stream today. I appreciate you doing it. I wanted to tell you that next week, again, is going to be an episode on Rosewood board Telecasters, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek. So just hold on for just a second, and I'm going to grab this guitar and show it to you real quick. Okay, and I'm not going to answer any questions because this is going to be what next week's Ask Zach is about. It's about Rosewood board Telecasters. So we'll see you next time. Hugs and kisses. Have a wonderful day. Eat something nice. Be nice to your friends and neighbors, and even those that you don't think are your neighbor. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Da-da-da.